Here.
Lutemeyer. Bean.
Here.
Beck. Bratton. Brown. Berger. Moon. Mosley. Roberts. Williams. You have 7.
Okay, so today we have 25 new appointments and 3 reappointments to consider. I'll announce the nominee, and the sponsoring senator will join them for a picture, so you'll come right up here by this table. If your family's with you, they're welcome to join you in the picture. Whenever you're done presenting, I want to just remind the senators that you have to go over here to the desk and sign a document that we have to have. So I think we're starting with Sonya Jenkins-Gray for the St. Louis City Board of Police Commissioners. Senator Roberts.
Good morning. I'm pleased to present Sonya Jenkins-Gray for the committee's consideration. Ms. Jenkins-Gray is a seasoned human resources executive with more than 20 years of leadership experience in both public and private sectors. She's previously served as the Director of Human Resources for the City of St. Louis, where she oversaw workforce operations for more than 5,000 employees. In addition to her executive experience, Ms. Jenkins-Gray has demonstrated a strong commitment to public service through her work with the Mountain City Bar Foundation and as chairperson of the Progressive National Baptist Convention. I believe her experience, judgment, and dedication will make her well qualified to serve, and I'm proud to sponsor her for this nomination.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? See how easy this is? Thank you for your willingness to serve. I know I met with you yesterday. I think you're very well qualified. You're already serving, and I think you do a great job, so I really appreciate your willingness to do it. Okay, hang on a minute here. Next up would be Brad Artega, Senator May, also for the St. Louis City Board of Police Commissioners.
I guess it's just me. You want to be on that side?
I don't know.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, hold on,
Perfect.
we gotta take this off.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's do this.
Get.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I am Senator Carla May, representing the 4th Senatorial District. Today, I'm honored to stand before you to support the nomination of Mr. Bradley Artega to serve on the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners. Mr. Artega is a lifelong resident of St. Louis, living in both the north and the south parts of the city. He is an established member of the community as owner and president of Artega Photos Ltd., BAKM LLC, and Artega LLC. In addition to being a business owner, he is the past president and current executive board member of the St. Louis Hills Neighborhood Association and serves on the St. Louis City Judicial Community. As well as being a leader, Mr. Artega is dedicated to giving back to his community. He is frequent blood donor, having donated 640 platelet units, equivalent to 80 gallons of blood. His donations help patients battling cancer, chronic illnesses, and trauma. I am confident that Mr. Artega will serve with the highest level of professionalism, dedication, and a commitment to advancing the St. Louis City Board of Police Commissioners. I respectfully ask for your support in confirming his appointment, as he can continue to make a positive impact on our law enforcement community and citizens they serve.
Thank you for that. Does anyone have a question? Senator Roberts?
Thank you. Commissioner Artega, you've served on the St. Louis Citizen Police Oversight Board. Could you tell us about how your experiences there have shaped your opinions of policing practices?
I think when we started at the Oversight Board, we started from scratch. There was no Oversight Board there. We were the first one. And going through the academy, basically on steroids, we had to spend every Monday for hours, probably 4 to 5 hours every Monday for 3 months, and learning the ins and outs of the department, and leaving with a certificate from the department, from the academy. And I think that that's where I'm going to be able to help on this board, knowing, being in that position, you know, that the ride-alongs, knowing we got shot with tasers, we got pepper sprayed, we had all of it, because we wanted to know what it felt like to be able to have that, you know, to give recommendations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Senator Berger?
Did I hear 80 gallons?
You did.
How long does that take?
At 30 years.
30 years. Congratulations, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Senator Moon?
Commissioner, we just had a brief time to talk, and I didn't hear all that when you were down there. So I was glad that Senator Roberts brought that up, and it looks like you have some keen insight on that. And I was really pleased to see, or to hear, what you and the others had to say about perspectives and kind of getting a handle on the policing there. So thank you for being willing to do that. I look forward to hearing good things.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, you're in.
Perfect.
Thank you for being willing to serve. We'll go to Chris Saracino for the Board of Police Commissioners. Senator May.
You know, we might as well just leave me up here, you know what I'm saying? Okay. For the record again, I am Senator Carla May, representing the 4th Senatorial District. Today, I'm honored to stand before you to support the nomination of Mr. Chris Saracino to serve on the St. Louis City Board of Police Commissioners. Mr. Saracino is the co-founder of Campbell Security and Services Group, LLC, serving the entire state of Missouri. He is committed to the security of the city of St. Louis, qualified to serve on this board. He has also shown his dedication to the city through various ventures. He is the former president of the Hill Business Association, the Hill 2000 Neighborhood Association, demonstrating strong leadership skills. Along with being a leader, Mr. Saracino has shown dedication to developing the community of the city of St. Louis. He serves the Kiwanis Club of St. Louis City and the Italian Open Charities. We got to get some food, you guys, but you know, we'll talk about that later. Since 2017, he has been a member of the Regional Sports Authority, helping to further develop the promotion of sports and recreational activities in St. Louis area. I am confident that Mr. Saracino will serve with the highest level of professionalism, dedication, and a commitment to advancing the St. Louis City Board of Police Commissioners. I respectfully ask for your support in confirming his appointment so he can continue to make a positive impact on our law enforcement community and the citizens they serve. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Does anyone have any questions? Senator Roberts.
Thank you. Commissioner Saracino, I noticed that despite that my district represents more than 2/3 of the city of St. Louis, only one of the appointees are from the 5th district that I represent. There's no representation north of Del Mar. Commissioner Artega is from St. Louis Hills, Commissioner McVey, Lindenwood Park, and you're from the Hill. And Commissioner Brown is at the entrance to the Hill. How do you intend to represent high crime neighborhoods that none of you live in or near to?
Thank you, Senator. We believe as a commissioner, as a group, that in order to make our city successful, we have to look at the city as a whole, not individual communities, but we are looking to raise this city all across from the borders of our city to the county, of how we can provide the necessary tools and resources and compensation to our officers and have the best officers representing us in all neighborhoods throughout our city. We believe in rising the tide together. We don't look at this as an individual section by section of the city of St. Louis. We need to benefit the entire city and represent the entire region of St. Louis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Moon?
Commissioner Saracino, thank you again for stopping by just briefly with the rest of your group. I was encouraged by the fact that there are several business owners such as you who are included on the commission, and I think you have a vested interest, it appears. One thing I noticed in your biography under your hospitality group is you have Chris's Pancakes and Dining.
Yes, sir.
And on Thursday mornings, we typically have pancakes in the office you were in, and maybe I can get some tips from you on how to prepare a better meal.
If I can help, please reach out. I'd be glad to help.
I may have to come visit and taste test.
Come down. Yes, thanks, Senator.
Back to the serious note, though, I was again encouraged that you have such a diverse group and interest in that. Tell me some of the things that you've encountered already that you can reveal, and what might be your vision as you continue in making your community safer.
Yes. So what we've looked at the department as a whole is more of the business side of the organization, the culture of the St. Louis Police Department, what the challenges have been. As a business owner, if I've been operating, let's use the hospitality world, if I was operating in the hospitality world how I was doing it prior to COVID, and now we're past COVID, and it's two separate situations. I think in all industries and all professions, it's changing so fast, and as an independent group body, that if we can look at best practices on how we can continue to help support the officers, and again, I say this in due respect, that we want to get first-round draft choices on the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department, and looking at all the resources and tools and everything as a law profession, and how we can attract those officers to those individuals to become officers in our city that can serve and protect our community. Biasly, having businesses in the city, we're an economic engine for the state of Missouri, and we need to provide a safe city for all, for everyone who comes, who works, visits, and plays in our city. And we want to attract more people to continue to come into our city, not just downtown, but in our region. So especially in the downtown area where there are so much attractions and so much to come, and our city has so much to offer. And I think if we can provide those scenarios that create a safe space for people to come and visit, work, and play, we'll be successful.
You run Bartolino's?
Yes, Senator.
Are they connected to the Drury Inn
Yes, Senator.
by Barnes?
Yes.
I was in there.
Well, thank you.
My granddaughter was at Barnes.
Oh, God bless her.
So I was in the, yes, really.
Yes.
So I was in there
Great
several.
hospital, though.
Yes, if you can just find your room.
Yes.
But I just want to make the point, I think that it's great that we have people who are out in the community that other people will feel comfortable talking to, no matter what their background or, whatever their career is. It's really important that whatever you're overseeing or kind of helping chart the course for, that you actually hear from the people that are on the receiving end. And so I appreciate that you're willing to serve.
Well, thank you, Senator. We feel it's not just an honor and a privilege to serve, but it is something that we can give back to our community and to the whole community. Again, I can't stress that enough. We are only good as a city if we are a strong city together. So
that's what I tell the Senate members too. We have to all work together.
Work together.
It doesn't work all the time, though.
Thank you.
We're working on that.
Thank
all
you.
right. Any other questions? Oh, Senator Beck.
Thank you. Real quick, I asked a question of all you guys in all the commissioners in my office, and I just wanted to put that back out there again because I think it's important. There was a newspaper article where the city is refusing to do any liability as far as police interactions and things of that nature. And could you expand on what you didn't say exactly, but suggest what was said in the office about how that will be addressed?
From how the negotiations are going, that during city control, that those litigation cases would stay under the city's litigation liability, and moving forward, that we would be
Before March, right?
Before March,
yes.
yes, Senator, before March. So anything after March, we inherit those. We own those. We're accountable for those. And again, that's why it's important that we believe as commissioners that we can strongly continue to support the officers through training, through giving them the necessary tools and resources. And we believe bringing in the compensation at the levels in which it should be as a law enforcement profession, that we will be able to mitigate some of those cases, because we'll have better, well-trained officers that will serve our communities better.
And on a personal note, I've been to Bartolino's numerous times. I've been to Chris's Pancake House.
Thank you,
I can't count the amount of times. But if you could let the senator from Lawrence know where you get your salsiccia from, I think that would be a great addition to the breakfast.
See.
There's not many places that have salsiccia for breakfast.
So this is perfect, because if we have the opportunity for you all to visit our city and come into one of our city restaurants, we'd love to have you and love to host you there. So thank you. Thank you, Senator.
Any other comments, questions? You're in.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
Thank you all
willing to
for your
serve.
time.
Next up, we have Edward McVey, also Senator May, for the Board of Police Commissioners.
Oh, I forgot. Look, we getting right to it, aren't we? For the record, I'm Senator Carla May, representing the 4th Senatorial District. Today, I'm honored to stand before you to support the nomination of Mr. Edward McVey to serve on St. Louis City Board of Police Commissioners. Mr. McVey is a proud St. Louis native and owner of the beloved Maggie O'Brien's Restaurant and Irish Pub, leading the business since 2008. He will bring expertise in contract negotiation, operations management, and leadership that he has learned through being a business owner. As a St. Louis native, he understands the importance of giving back to the community. He is an active weekly donor to the St. Patrick's Center, dedicated to combating homelessness in St. Louis. He is also an annual donor to the St. Louis Boys and Girls Club, enabling young people of St. Louis to achieve their full potential. I am confident that Mr. McVey will serve with the highest level of professionalism, dedication, and a commitment to advancing the St. Louis City Board of Police Commissioners. I respectfully ask for your support in confirming his appointment so he can continue to make a positive impact on our law enforcement community and the citizens they serve.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Senator Roberts?
Thank you. Commissioner McVey, as a business owner downtown, are there any particular changes you'll advocate for relating to downtown police practices? And are you committed to ensuring that the city's police department doesn't become a department for just downtown?
Thank you, Senator. Yes, obviously, with the downtown area, particularly where I'm located, it is the face of the actual downtown, with the stadiums being right around and all that, Union Station being right there. But as far as that goes, we talk about this over and over in these meetings. It's obviously recruit and retain, but also that it is imperative that we are doing this throughout the whole city. Thanks to you and to Senator May, we've had that town hall, and where we did open that up and let everyone come and ask all their questions. We intend to do that whenever you guys invite us to do it. But I think that was very helpful to at least start the process of gaining that trust with the community, not just with the downtown location. We know that we rise and fall together as a city, but we don't look past the fact that we want the city safe, and we want people to see policemen on those corners down there, especially during events and things like that. But that does not take away from the rest of the city and our dedication to making sure the entire city is protected, not just downtown.
Thank you.
All right. Senator Beck?
So I have a question. You probably can't quite answer it right now, but I served on a school board, and one of our biggest issues was recruiting and retaining highly qualified teachers. And I know you're in that sweet spot right now where you have to worry about that. I think you mentioned that you're down 300 roughly officers in the city of St. Louis. I guess as a board, I'm sure you've had conversations over this. Have you looked at a direction to go to try to recruit and retain the current officers?
So we currently are approximately, obviously this can fluctuate day by day, but with actual cadets in class, approximately 870. I believe, at one time, St. Louis, we were at around 1,500 that we were allotted for. Now it's around 1,100. So if we could, obviously, just wake up tomorrow and have 300 officers, it would be wonderful. The reality of that, obviously, throughout the whole country is there's an issue with recruiting for the police departments across the whole country. So we feel that as well. We did just receive back from the city of St. Louis a lot of the HR department roles, which is allowing us to then utilize them to do the recruiting for us, as well as we have a couple of police officers that are specifically assigned to trying their best to bring in recruits through events throughout the city of St. Louis. So it is our goal. We're doing everything we can best practice-wise, or trying to implement that now as we have these meetings week in and week out, to come up with ways, how do we approach this, and then in the process of approaching it, how do we hold on to the people that we do get? Because there's no doubt we've had issues with training police officers, and then as soon as they have the opportunity to leave, that has been an issue. So we're trying to address all those things, and I kind of refer to a lot of this as I feel like it's kind of like herding cats. There's so many things going on, and we're trying to wrap our arms around all of them at the same time. And I think, I know with the board, I feel like it's a very good group of people that genuinely have the best interests of the Metropolitan Police Department in mind, but also the whole city of St. Louis. So we're trying to move it forward.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you for being willing to serve.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
We're going to switch over to Don Brown with Senator McCreery, and I think we come back. So Don Brown and Senator McCreery for the Board of Police Commissioners.
Well, that's the reason to support him. It's the first time anyone has helped me with my chair, so I'm like, I don't need to say anything. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm State Senator Tracy McCreery from Senate District 24. It's my honor this afternoon to support Don Brown for the St. Louis City Board of Police Commissioners. I feel fortunate that we met several years ago in just a professional capacity and have a established friendship and connection that goes back. It makes days like this a little bit easier, quite honestly. So for those of you that aren't in the St. Louis region, Don Brown and his family are important members of the St. Louis community. They're extremely philanthropic, and I think the fact that he's willing to volunteer and take on this kind of role is exactly why we should be supporting him for this important position. So happy to turn it over for questions.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown, I know we've talked about this previously, but for the benefit of the committee, your dealership has sold cars to the department. How do you intend to handle this potential conflict of interest?
Well, to go back and give a little history, we've been, Dan Brown Chevrolet has been selling cars to the city police since 1985. We established in 1984. My father passed away in 97. I had already been running the day-to-day operations, but nothing changed on that. It is an open bid process. It is very transparent. We send bids in. We have no idea whether we're going to be the high or low, and we're the low every time, but we've gotten pretty good at it. We sell about 30 to 60 to the city a year. We sell about 1,200 a year. So this isn't anything that's going to go one way or another. We also supply parts at a reduced rate, actually cheaper than I put on my pre-owned cars when I fix my pre-owned cars. We have several retired folks that sit in our fleet service center and they wait for the phone call to ring, and when the police have issues with vehicles, we run down and pick them up, and we bring them back and we fix them and we run back down and return them to them. None of that is charged to the police department. I know how sharp they are, so all that's been done by me, by my father before me, and for that privilege I get paid about every 90 days, whether after how many phone calls I make. No disrespect, but it's a little hard getting money out of the city. But I do that. I told Governor Kehoe that I would recuse myself from any bids, any time purchasing comes up. It is such a small percentage of my business. The service side is, we do a lot of business. I also provide a very good service for free that they're not going to get driving out to the county and doing the same thing. So, I think it's kind of a joint deal. They appreciate it, and they're shorthanded, so they're not running people waiting at the dealership, going back and forth. They can do what they do best, and we can do what we do best. So,
thank you.
All right, Senator Berger.
Thank you for your willingness to serve, but I was a presiding commissioner of Scott County for 18 years. We bought a lot of vehicles through you, and it was always a painless efforts. Thank you for your service, and it was a good thing for us.
Thank you.
And considering Governor Kehoe nominated someone that's a Chevrolet dealer has to be very outstanding, too.
He likes that Ford, but he always has a Suburban behind it, and I tell him that's what, in case that Ford breaks down, he's got something reliable to get back home with.
Thank you again for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Senator Beck.
Thank you. So we had a conversation yesterday, and we actually have a little bit of a history together. You contacted me early on. One, we have high school. If you're a St. Louis person, we went to the same high school, just so everybody knows. But I guess my question is your role that you have as you're a non-voting member. You live in the county. I know you have a vested interest in the city. I think everybody that lives in the county has a vested interest in the city succeeding and being great because it is the center of our metropolitan area. But my question to you is, since you're a non-voting member, can you explain your role to us exactly? What you plan on doing with that? And
I can't vote on formal proposals. I can still make motions. My expertise is in pulling this piece away and having this silo of the police department. It's like its own government, and with that government, you need somebody to run that government. None of us on the board believes we can't be good policemen, right? We got somebody that does that, but somebody's got to run the business behind the police and has to support the police. So I think that's where my role comes in. I have a machinist union and a Teamsters union in my dealership. Have been charged to run the negotiation piece, the collective bargaining agreement with the Police Officers Association, which we're doing, and it's good to throw money and say, hey, we can get more officers by throwing money, but there's a quality of life piece, and there's a lot of other things that go along with it. And I think that's my role, is not to vote yes or no, but to give my expertise in business to the board.
All right. Any other questions? I was thinking maybe you could, we buy a lot of Peterbilt trucks, and they do not come and get us when they break down. So maybe you could start dealing in that, and we could.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for being willing to serve.
Thank you.
Next up, Susan Diraimondo for the St. Louis City Board of Election Commissioners, Senator May.
Diraimondo. Again, for the record, I'm Senator Carla May, representing the 4th Senatorial District. Today, I am honored to stand before you to support the nomination of Mrs. Susan Diraimondo to serve on the St. Louis City Board of Election Commissioners. I believe her dedication to public service and the Board of Election qualifies her to serve as a commissioner. Mrs. Diraimondo worked for the St. Louis City Board of Elections from January 7, 2007 to January 1, 2025. She has been dedicated to the mission of the board to run transparent and honest elections in the city of St. Louis for 18 years. She has served in multiple roles within the board, including Democratic Judge, Coordinator, Assistant Deputy Democratic Director, and Manager of Recruitment and Voter Outreach. Serving in multiple roles in the board gives Mrs. Diraimondo the knowledge she needs to serve on the board, and more specifically, the city of St. Louis. She has worked directly in the community, recruiting and assigning and training poll workers, attending neighborhood association meetings and community events to encourage residents to register to vote. Her knowledge of the election process and the ties to the communities she serves will make a great addition to the board. I am confident she will serve with the highest level of professionalism, dedication, and a commitment to advancing and improving the elections of the city of St. Louis. I respectfully ask for your support in confirming her appointment so she can continue to serve the city and its citizens. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Don't need to look that way. Anyone? Yes, Senator Moon.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
With regard to elections, you probably have heard the scuttle about whether or not elections are fair, whether they can be compromised by the use of equipment, and that's just a fraction of the comments that are made. What is your opinion on the use of counting machines and electronic ballots and things of that sort?
Well, I'm not sure how many of you, especially if you're not from the St. Louis region, but we recently acquired all new machinery, which is what we were mandated to do by the election laws. Okay, we basically had our machinery was like a dinosaur. So it really was every election we were like holding our breath and concerned that, wasn't going to make it through the election. Okay, so we are, you can't access anything by Wi-Fi. So we are I feel very, I can tell you that my 18 years there, we've never had any suspicion or any fingers pointed at us that we were going to be compromising any results or, the ballot counting is always fair. It's all done through the equipment, so it's...
Do you know where the equipment was manufactured? Or the brand of the equipment?
Yes. Ben? Can I ask my...
Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, it is from Texas, yes.
And when you say that it can't be hooked up to Wi-Fi, is that by hardwire or remote or all the above? So, and my question is when
You're
they
good questions. I'm
Yeah.
just hoping I can answer them for you because I wasn't in that
Yeah.
department, but.
Okay. Well, when the machines are calibrated or they're updated, is that done manually or is there some electronic?
Well,
method?
there's a thing called logic and logic testing and accuracy testing, and the media comes for that, and we do weeks and weeks of getting the machines prepared. So it's done, like they would run a ballot through. They have sample ballots they run through to make sure that everything is going to work out on election day. Nobody, if you've never been inside of our walls during election time, people on the outside, they have no idea, because I didn't know. When I was first approached to get the job way back in 2007, they said I was going to be making coffee for judges. I thought I was going to be in a courtroom. The judges were the poll workers. Okay, so it takes a lot. We have a well-oiled machine there. I really want to be on the board because nobody on the board, I've sat through a lot of boards. Some were better than others, but none of them had the years of experience that I have had. And so I feel like I really can be a big contributor to, getting things done in a good way. One of our things that we're going through right now, we're dealing with, is the tornado victims. And those folks, a lot of them lost their identification cards. So we're doing voter outreach and things like that. We're doing whatever we can to make sure that everybody, you don't have to have an ID to vote because you can have a provisional ballot, but we want to make sure we get the IDs in the hands of as many people as we possibly can. Like I said, we have a well-oiled machine. We've got a lot of longevity in our employees there, and so we feel like we do pretty good. It's our goal to stay out of the news, and for the most part, that's what we've been able to do.
Well, we haven't met before today. It sounds like you have an intent to do what is right, and I trust that. I would ask that as you're doing the work, particularly with the counting machines, that you do as much investigation as you can and as necessary to ensure that it is true that you said that they can't be accessed or have any electronic connection. Even though I haven't seen them, I have heard from some folks that some of these machines are embedded with a chip that can be connected remotely to Wi-Fi. So that would be something to stick in your back pocket just to see if that's true or false.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, when we go, it's quite a process to buy new election equipment. And we had teams, and I was on the team. It's just, unfortunately, it's been a little while. But I was on the team, and we all did our research then, and we listened to, several different vendors, and we think we picked out the best equipment for the best price, to run accurate elections.
Since I'm not an authority on this, if you will, would you please send
I can reach out to you, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to know more about the machines and their manufacturing process and things of that sort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I'd be more than happy to do that.
Great, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your willingness to serve.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Next up will be Flint Fowler, an independent, Senator May for Harris-Stowe State University Board.
Again, for the record, I'm going to need you to pay attention in class. I'm Senator Carla May, representing the 4th Senatorial District. Today, I am especially honored to stand before you to support the nomination of Dr. Flint Fowler to serve on the Harris-Stowe State University Board of Regents. Dr. Fowler is a dedicated and active member of the St. Louis community. Currently, he proudly serves the community through various organizations such as the Backstoppers, Gateway Arch Park Foundation, St. Louis Sports Commission Board, the Advisory Board of Clayton Branch of Enterprise Bank, and the Board of Deacons of Pleasant Green Missionary Baptist Church. As well as these commitments, he is currently a member of the Board of Trustees at Maryville University. This role gives Dr. Fowler unique insights into higher education. He also has a bachelor's and master's degrees in psychology from Western University and a PhD in education from St. Louis University. Dr. Fowler is a demonstrated leader, a graduate of Leadership St. Louis, the Management Program, and the Thompson Garth Executive Leadership Program. As a supporter of Harris-Stowe State University, I believe Dr. Fowler will serve the Board of Regents with the highest level of dedication and professionalism. I respectfully ask for your support in confirming his appointment so he can continue to do a positive impact on St. Louis community and the students of Harris-Stowe State University. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Any questions? Yep. Senator Moon?
Dr. Fowler, I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on the fact of, we have increasing technology in education from the earliest of ages, and it goes through secondary education too. I recently heard from a podcast that Dr. Jared Horvath, a neuroscientist, presented some information that he has found through his studies over the years on how technology affects learning, and also how we might be falling behind a little bit because of our it seems like a total emphasis on providing electronics to our students and getting more away from the traditional classroom teaching. And so with that, and when you couple that with artificial intelligence, how that might be addressed at the collegiate level, and as you see students coming up from high school that might need remediation because of maybe the lack of focus or the lack of learning. So I'm not sure if you're seeing that yet or if you have communicated with others who might have seen it, but what is your opinion on how that could be addressed, and should there be changes made perhaps to meet that?
Yeah, I think technology has always impacted the way education gets delivered, and I think people who are in higher education have to be smart enough to make those adjustments and listen to their clients or their customers. I think there's great value in the on-campus experience, so I don't think that'll ever be replaced by technology, but I think technology has enhanced the rate of learning and our ability to get access to information. But I believe that it takes educated people to properly structure an educational experience that would take advantage of those types of things. I think also technology has given great rise to non-college degree experiences, for example. But I think in order to continue to improve the quality of education at any level, it requires those who are responsible for teaching and creating to work together. For example, Harris-Stowe just broke ground for their new STEM center. I call it STEAM because I like to add the arts, but most people just talk about the engineering side. In order to make sure that more people have access to the type of technology that they need to be successful, at the same time getting those traditional classroom experiences that help young people grow up to be productive, well-rounded individuals. Technology is moving so quickly, so I'm not sure, if I'm kind of on the old school side, I still read a newspaper, how quickly I can catch up. But I think being at a university, helping to influence the policy and helping to identify the resources necessary to bring in-house in order to expand access to people and training that would allow us to do the best that we can to educate people in this dramatically fast-changing, technological-focused society is going to be required.
All right, any other questions?
I hope I answered your question adequately. I hope I answered you adequately, Senator. Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's a complete answer that we could arrive at today, but
Right.
I just hope that that'll be on your radar, because I think the K through 12 and the higher education, they're integrated
Yes.
to a degree, and I have had conversations with those in higher education where they're having to remediate quite a bit, whether that's a result of electronics or the technological age, I don't know, but anyway, just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, indeed. I think there are additional experiences young people can take part of. For example, Senator May is a graduate of a program I used to run called Upward Bound that allows that additional type of learning and experiences that go beyond the classroom in order to better prepare them for the future as well.
All right, any other questions? You're in. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for being willing to serve. Next up, Reuben Shelton, Senator Gregory for Harris-Stowe State University.
Chairman O'Loughlin, members of the committee, David Gregory, St. Louis County 15th Senatorial District. Before you is the sponsorship of Reuben Shelton for appointment to the Harris-Stowe State University Board of Regents. Mr. Shelton has extensive legal experience. He's worked as lead counsel in litigation for Monsanto Company. He did that for almost 20 years. He's also worked at Union Electric Company, which we now know as Ameren, in the Claims and Security Department. And of course, he was a judicial law clerk for Federal Judge Clyde Cahill. And for those of you who don't know, the federal judicial clerk positions are held for only the best and the brightest out of law school. Please don't ask me if I got one of those positions. So I respectfully request this committee confirm Reuben Shelton to the appointment of Harris-Stowe State University Board of Regents. Happy to take any questions.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, Senator Moon.
Dr. Shelton, did Senator Gregory get an appointment? I have the same question that I had for Mr. Fowler, and that is related to the technology that we have today that seem to be heavily focused on as we train and educate students, and what the effect might be in the ensuing years. And really, I'm not sure if we can predict how the outcome will be overall for education, especially at the collegiate level. So what's your insight and maybe your thoughts about where we are today, where we might be in the future, and how we can address some of the problems that are being produced as a result right now?
Yeah, and the concern that I have, Senator, well, first of all, we've got to keep up with technology. I mean, we either keep up with it or we're going to be left behind. And that's one thing that I hope that we keep in mind as we move forward in higher education. But the other thing that I hope that we keep in mind is that you can't discount the socialization that comes with education. And I hope we don't lose sight of that to the point where we are relying so much on technology that we lose that aspect of education. I mean, progress is coming. You got to keep up with it. But if we lose sight of the socialization and our education experience, I think we're in big trouble.
I mentioned remediation in my questioning of the prior appointee, and wondered, have you experienced that, or have you had any conversations with those at Harris-Stowe who are saying that we're having to reteach math, for example, or some of the other arts, even language arts, to students who are coming into the college?
So we've not had that discussion at Harris-Stowe yet. I've been there a couple of months now. But I have heard that in other educational institutions and organizations, and that is a concern. And I think that's one of the reasons why I have been a public servant in the St. Louis community and on a statewide level, because I grew up in North St. Louis, and I've seen the impact that, I don't want to call it substandard education, but improper education has had on some of the students that have come out of our school districts. And that's why I've tried to do everything that I possibly could to be involved in organizations that would help address those needs. I think we're going to continue to see that until we address some of the other issues that we've seen in our educational process. But it's something that is sorely needed, and I hope that I can bring my expertise to help address that need at Harris-Stowe. So.
Senator Bratton?
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on the technology, I saw a meme that said, you better get your health care now because your med students today are getting their medical degree on ChatGPT and through ChatGPT. And I think, I know that's meant to be like funny, but at the same time, I know our public K through 12s are really struggling with kids not really learning. They're not doing anything. They're so reliant on this new AI technology. They're writing all the papers. We're even having to come up with programs to decipher whether or not their papers and things are being written by AI. So I do think it is something that we've really got to look at, especially when we're moving up to higher ed, to where our programs actually writing these papers and are anybody or the students actually learning anything. So I guess that's just my caution. I just definitely think it's something that even if we do have to seemingly go back to the Stone Ages, I guess, to where they're having to read and they're having to write papers as opposed to all typed out and everything. I just wanted to caution that, because I know as the chair of education for K through 12, I know I'm getting a lot of teachers and a lot of people that are really concerned with the use of technology. So I just wanted to kind of piggyback on that. So.
No, I totally agree. Unfortunately, I think AI is kind of here to stay. I was recently at a seminar where we had some of the college directors and presidents on the panel. And the one president, I believe he was from Southern Cal, University of Southern Cal. He was cautioning his professors to be careful about the AI and, discourage it and make sure that you check for some of the same issues that you just raised. That was 5 years ago, and now he's saying that today he's telling his professors, listen, you better keep up with AI, right? Yeah, you better learn how to do this stuff, because otherwise you're going to be left behind. So unfortunately, I think it's here, but I share your concern.
You're quite a lawyer from the looks of your... So we might need to call you now and then.
You got my number, Senator.
Well, you've been retired for a few years.
Yes.
So, but you're serving on the board now.
Yes.
And are you volunteering other places or just?
Oh yeah, I'm very well. I'm on the board of the United Way of St. Louis.
Full-time.
I've been on the board for a long time, and I've had an experience in higher education as well, because I was a curator on the Lincoln University Board of Curators, and so we've discussed some of these issues, and I've had that kind of that kind of experience there as well. But yeah, I like being involved, and I like being able to serve, and I like being helpful.
Well, we really appreciate your being here. Do you have a question?
Oh, yeah.
Steve?
What fraternity are you a part of? Any leadership roles in that organization?
my good fraternity brother. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, and I just stepped down as the international president of Kappa Alpha Psi in 2023.
Well, you don't look like the kind of guy that's laying on the couch, watching TV.
My grandkids won't let me do that, Senator.
Well, we appreciate your being willing to serve. I don't think we have any other questions, so thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Paul Ogier, Senator Gregory, Health and Education Facility Authority of the State of Missouri.
Chairman O'Loughlin, members of the committee, David Gregory, St. Louis County, Senate 15. I come before you in sponsorship of Paul Ogier to the Health and Educational Facilities Authority of the State of Missouri, also known as MOHEFA. Mr. Ogier has spent most of his career as a chief financial officer and the CFO of Lutheran Senior Services. And interestingly, he's actually issued bonds through MOHEFA numerous times, so he has extensive experience directly with this board, and he's also very eager to serve on the board. I'm excited to recommend him for sponsorship. So I respectfully request this committee confirm the governor's appointment of Paul Ogier to the Health and Educational Facilities Authority of the State of Missouri. With that, we will take any questions.
All right. Senator Moon.
Mr. Ogier, thank you for being here today. I wasn't aware before today about this particular commission. Would you explain to me, so I'll have a better understanding of what your role will be?
The role of the committee or my role as a board member?
Yes, both.
So that's typically the question is, what is MOHEFA? It's a legal requirement to have a governmental authority to issue tax-exempt bonds. And so MOHEFA was set up to be that conduit for healthcare and educational organizations. So for bonds to be issued, they do need to come to the board, and we review every step before the deals are put together and then through the pricing of the deals.
Very good. That's all I have.
So, approving the financing for health care and education, so give me an example of one.
Well, the easy example is Lutheran Senior Services. That's how I first got acquainted. So when we want to finance a retirement community, hospitals, colleges, Maryville University recently coming through. So those types of organizations.
Hospitals.
Hospitals as well, yes.
Okay. I did not know that. All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, we think it's too complicated maybe for maybe we should talk to you about that later. But thank you for being willing to serve. Steve Poniewaz, an independent for the Credit Union Commission for Senator Gregory.
Chairman O'Loughlin, members of the committee, David Gregory, Senate 15. I come before you in sponsorship of Stephen Poniewaz to the Credit Union Commission. Mr. Poniewaz he's got extensive experience in the credit union industry. As a matter of fact, he's currently the president and CEO of First Missouri Credit Union. And he's also a member of the Chamber of Commerce in our community, very involved in our community. And folks, that's exactly what we're looking for. We want dedicated professionals with proven experience helping lead in these ways. And so I respectfully request this committee confirm the governor's appointment of Stephen Poniewaz to the Credit Union Commission. With that, we will take any questions.
Are you serving on there now as an interim appointee or not yet?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
So tell me what happens at a regular meeting.
Well, there hasn't been one yet, but the credit.
Well,
the credit. Well, I was just appointed, but the Credit Union Commission is there to support the Division of Credit Unions, which regulates credit unions in the state. Any rules that the director would want to make, the commission would approve.
and so do you have the authority, like, to have them audited or any of that kind of thing? Or what's your authority, really?
To the division, or have credit unions audited? I think ultimately, yes, but I don't think that that's the primary role. Of the commission. The commission's there to support the, if the director wants to make a rule for the credit unions to follow, to approve that rule.
Okay. All right. Senator Beck?
It's more of a comment than, I've been around you for several years now, and I really appreciate how you do things. And the credit union that went on a Lee May Ferry, the way you did that and worked with the community, and just your knowledge of this, I think you couldn't really find anybody more, credible to be on this board. So thank you for your willingness to serve.
Do you have as many rules as the banking industry?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, the rules are
okay,
numerous.
That's good.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot.
There's a lot, that is true.
All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for being here today and being willing to serve.
Thank you.
Next up is Kamera Meaney, Senator Cierpiot, Mo HealthNet Oversight Committee.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman and members. Mike Cierpiot from the 8th Senate District in Jackson County here. It is my honor to introduce Kamera Meaney as resident of Missouri's 8th Senate District and a recent appointee to the Missouri HealthNet Oversight Committee by Governor Kehoe. Ms. Meaney is an accomplished leader in the government relations and healthcare policy with extensive experience advancing equitable health policy and strengthening public healthcare systems. She currently serves as the Chief Health Policy and Government Relations Officer at University Health, where she oversees advocacy and policy efforts that support Medicaid, Medicare, and local funding streams comprising more than 80% of the organization's net revenue. Ms. Meaney has held several leadership roles at University Health, including Director of Advocacy and Government Relations, Director of Nursing Administration Services. In these positions, she has led successful legislative and grassroots campaigns, built strong partnerships with community and government leaders, and developed innovative programs to address workforce development and social detriments of health. Kamera holds a Master of Business Administration from Mid-America Nazarene University, a Master of Arts in History from Marquette, and a Bachelor of Arts in History from the University of Missouri, Kansas City. She is also deeply engaged in civic and professional leadership, serving in multiple boards and committees at the local and statewide levels. Her leadership and impact have been widely recognized, including being named Ingram's 40 Under 40 and receiving multiple regional leadership awards. Thank you for considering her to this board.
All right, thank you. Do I have any questions? Senator Moon?
Hi, Mrs. Meaney. I noticed the function of the committee is broad. There's a lot of stuff in there to consider, but there's no mission. And you don't have to go on record being, an official mission, but what would you say, just in a brief statement, what is the mission of the committee?
That I've attended one meeting, so there's that, but it's my understanding that the mission of the Missouri Health Oversight Committee is to be an advisory body to both the General Assembly and the governor, reviewing data for the managed care plans and other health plans, looking at patient satisfaction in the Medicaid program, as well as the health outcomes for the patients that participate in the program.
And are there, I imagine there are reports that are submitted from time to time. And since you've only been there a month, you don't have to go on record verbatim here, but I would imagine that there are.
I'd make that presumption as well.
Yeah, okay. Okay. And I noticed that, this is just an observation, I looked at it here, that a lot of these members are expired. So I wonder if there's a quorum required to do business. When in the one meeting that you've been to, was there a pretty good number of members who appeared?
Yes, we did achieve quorum.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you're employed by the university?
By University Health in Kansas City, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So Medicaid's a big topic and a humongous expense, and we kind of wrestle with that off and on. How do you feel about the work requirements for Medicaid? How do you feel about that?
So I'm a firm believer that the Medicaid program is intended to take care of the most underinvested and vulnerable populations, and we need to ensure that the program is financially stable in order to meet that mission. I think there's a lot of provisions in H.R. 1, including work requirements and semi-annual redetermination, that will be impactful. And as a state and as a community, we're going to have to figure out how we logistically manage those things. But I also believe that those changes and provisions to the program grant us a great opportunity to fix a system that, no matter how you feel, is broken.
So Senator Arthur and I also used to try to make changes, and most of those didn't happen. But one of the things that we talk about is the cliff for people who have Medicaid benefits, and maybe they're going to get a promotion, but they make a little bit more money, and then Medicaid takes away all their benefits, and so then they can't afford to move up the ladder. So what do we do about that?
I think that healthcare is complex. I think that we have to find a way to ensure that we're both supporting the safety net systems that we desperately need while simultaneously allowing individuals to grow and progress in whatever their professional space is, whatever their financial space is, and ensure that there is a gradual progress for them to fall off of those systems.
Exactly. Any other questions? Oh, Senator Beck.
So I'd like to piggyback on Senator Moon. I was going to ask the question, so he beat me to the microphone. But I noticed there was no mission statement. Do you feel like that's important? Do you think that the committee should come up? I've served on other boards before in the past, and sometimes a mission statement brings everybody back to exactly where you need to be and what you're there for. Because a lot of sometimes politics and other things get involved with these things. But I'm just curious if you think that is an important thing to actually have that mission statement.
Yes, as a new member, I'd love to fully understand what the mission of the commission is. I'll also say we have a brand new director, which I'm sure you're all aware of, and I'm sure he will be helpful as we work to craft that mission.
Okay, thank you.
What do you think is the appropriate ratio of patients to nurses in the hospital?
I think it depends on the unit. I think it depends on the acuity and severity of the patient. I will say I am a strong supporter of nurses. I think that, with no disrespect to any physicians, I think you can run a hospital with a limited number of physicians, but without a strong, full nursing staff, you have to close units, and that impacts patient care. We need to ensure that the appropriate ratio supports nurses, reduces workplace violence, and promotes the best possible patient outcomes.
All right, I agree with you, which is rare. No.
I'll take it.
I feel like the nursing profession, they're short on having enough, but a lot of people are going into nursing, but they don't want to do patient care because it's so hard, and they feel they don't have enough help. So I know you can't solve that right here today, but I just wondered if that was your experience or that's what you've heard.
Absolutely. At University Health, 2/3 of our employee population is nursing, and I witnessed for 5 years the hardships they deal with while simultaneously ensuring that patients are cared for, that they're receiving the empathy that they need, and that they're given the best outcomes possible. And I think it is our responsibility, everyone's responsibility, to ensure that those individuals are being protected, they have the resources they need, and that we're ensuring their safety as well as the patients.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up is Carrie Corley, Senator Cierpiot, Committee of Professional Counselors.
Good afternoon once again. Senator Cierpiot from the 8th Senate District in Jackson County. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Carrie Corley of Lee Summit, Missouri. Dr. Corley is a counselor, educator, and the owner of a clinical director of Lakewood Family Therapy, where he specializes in marriage and relationship counseling. His work integrates clinically grounded, trauma-informed practice with thoughtful, faith-based perspective, serving couples, families, and individuals with depth and care. Dr. Corley holds a Doctor of Counseling from Midwestern College and a master's degree in counseling from Dallas Theological Seminary. He is a licensed professional counselor, supervisor in Missouri, and a licensed clinical professional counselor in Kansas, and a national certified counselor. In addition to his clinical work, he mentors developing clinicians, teaches in both academic and church settings, and has presented topics ranging from trauma and assessment to emotional intimacy and marriage. Beyond his private practice, Dr. Corley is actively involved in professional and community leadership, including his current service as gubernatorial appointee to the Missouri Committee for Professional Counselors. He is also an ordained minister and a frequent speaker and educator within the local church. Dr. Corley brings a rare blend of clinical expertise, academic rigor, relational wisdom, all shaped by a deep commitment to healthy relationships, ethical practice, and emotional maturity. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Carrie Corley, and I appreciate your consideration.
We need your services here. I appreciate your being here today.
Thank you.
So I noticed that you had a dissertation about narcissism in the church.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that available online?
It is. It is.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about the current state of counseling, just in general?
Wow. It's been quite a few years since everything kind of got flipped upside down with COVID. I was talking to my staff probably a few months ago, and we were all just recounting, like, do we have memory of that time? It was just so hectic. I think from a business perspective, which is what I spend a lot of my time doing, there's a lot changing with insurance. Now most counselors can take insurance, and that's changing our field. And it's for a good thing. In the long run, more people have access to care that they need, and it's also a difficult thing. Dealing with insurance companies is difficult. At the same time, the need for mental health counseling across the United States, really, not just Missouri, but across the United States, has increased. It's becoming more acceptable to go see a counselor, and so that has increased the volume in our waiting rooms as well. So,
Why do we have such a mental health crisis, do you think? Well, these are kind of hard questions. I should have asked it somewhere else.
I think some of the most recent research that I've read comes from Jonathan Haidt, and he really, and he put it in a book called The Anxious Generation, but for him, the research came back to issues with phones, issues with social media. Has really led to a lot of emotional and psychological detachment, not just for adults, but for our youth.
Yeah.
And it continues to be a problem, and it's something that I think we'll have to face as a community together.
I agree. Anyone else have any questions? Senator Bratton?
Well, thank you for being here. We've known each other a long time, and I think you'll do a tremendous job on this, and thank you for your willingness to serve here. So, but yeah, it's great to see you. It's crazy to think that you're sitting before a Senate committee again. Known each other a long time. My wife loves you dearly, and you have an amazing family, so I know you'll do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Moon?
I noticed you were a student at Dallas Theological Seminary.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever sit under the teaching of Chuck Swindoll?
Just through the pulpit. I was never in the classroom, but when my wife and I visited Dallas Seminary, he was the keynote speaker. And we were new to the faith at that time, and my wife and I had not heard of Chuck Swindoll, and so we turned to the nearest person next to us and said, "This guy's amazing." Mm-hmm. And so, yes.
He's still a favorite of mine, and I was fortunate to be in a conference with him a few years ago, but anyway, he's a good one. So, thank you.
All right, anyone else? Seeing none. Thank you for your willingness to serve, and thank you for being here today. Next up is Kelly Frizella, Senator Bernskoetter, State Board of Optometry.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'm Mike Bernskoetter from the 6th District. I'm here with Dr. Kelly Frizella, being appointed as a member of the State Board of Optometry. Dr. Frizella earned her BS from University of Missouri and her Doctor of Optometry from Southern College of Optometry. She's been practicing optometrics since 2002. She's been a Missouri resident since 2011. Her and her family live at the Lake of the Ozarks, where she owns and operates a specialty practice focusing on diagnostic and treatment of binocular vision dysfunction. She is deeply committed to serving both in her profession and the citizens of Missouri. And one of the things she told me was she honored to have the opportunity to contribute in this capacity, and she'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Do I have any questions? Senator Moon?
Thank you for being here today, Doctor. We have had, at least for the last couple of years, an ongoing discussion between optometrists and ophthalmologists with regard to an ablation procedure done after cataracts. And just wonder what your opinion is, if you can set the record straight and help me decide which way to go.
Sure. So by ablation, I'm assuming you mean like a YAG capsulotomy or procedure following cataract surgery. Yes. Advanced procedures have been something that have surfaced in optometry for many, many years, and we have some states where optometrists are already able to, practice at that scope. What I would share with you as an optometrist is that I'll share with you a quick story that when I first day of optometry school, we were sitting there and one of our professors said, for those of you that are starting your countdown on how many days you have left being a student sitting here learning in the classroom, I've got news for you. You're now entering a profession of lifelong learning. And that's always stuck with me because I've been out of school for a long time. I love going and I enjoy getting more continuing education. Technology is changing, things are evolving, so there's always new things to learn. Many of the colleges now that are in states where that expanded scope is already in place. Our students are learning that. So we have a lot of new graduates and students that are already knowledgeable in doing those things. When I view that as a person here, I live in a relatively rural area. So if you would ask the older or just patients that are having cataract surgery in my community, that's one of their concerns and complaints is that a lot of times they have to commute 60 miles or more to see a specialist to have these kinds of procedures. So my view would be, of course, to do something like that, make sure that the scope of practice, if it's expanded, it's done in a safe way where doctors are fully trained and we can ensure the safety of the citizens here of Missouri. But I also think that there is an opportunity to provide a deeper level of service to our rural communities as well, so that those patients who are, let's face it, are already not seeing well, we're not having to put them in a car and expect them to commute 60 or more miles to be able to get that level of care.
You alluded to the training of new optometrists, and I've met at least one currently practicing optometrist who was trained, I think they had a residency in another state, and that was common practice for optometrists there to do those types of procedures. And the students you talked about getting the training, is that training being done in Missouri today?
It is not. So that training would be, there's schools in various states where that piece of legislature has already been passed.
Okay. So in your opinion, should we be looking to expand the scope of training that optometrists in Missouri currently have access to?
I would say yes.
And what might we expect in opposition from the optometry or ophthalmologist groups?
I think the concern would always be, are they trained, and is patient safety a concern? And what I would say is that the expanded scope of practice has been very, very successful in other states with additional education and training.
And am I correct in the continuing education, if an optometrist or an ophthalmologist does not have the training currently, they go to the same classes, perhaps maybe even setting side by side, it's the same training given to both groups? Is that true?
It can be. Okay. Yes, it can be. I know there are some even optometry schools where you actually start. I went to a private optometry school, so optometry was all they did in Memphis, but there are schools where the first year or so, optometry students are actually going to the same classes as med students, dental students, so there is some overlap there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, Senator Bratton?
Thank you for being willing to serve. What's your opinion on LASIK? I know is fairly new within the scope of practice of your profession, but I know I had it done back in, I think, 2003. I couldn't even make out the E on the chart. I mean, that's how bad my eyes used to be, and it's transformative. But I remember my old eye doctor, he was very critical of me going to do it at that time, but I don't know. I haven't really talked to, I mean, has that morphed and changed? Is that now something that's, desired and pushed by your profession now?
So optometrists typically are not doing LASIK. They're doing other advanced procedures, so LASIK would be excluded from that. But I can tell you, I mean, I share that with you. I had LASIK many years ago. It's wonderful. It's very safe. It's so it is certainly a great alternative for individuals, especially that have large amounts of prescription.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know where the waters were and what you guys did. So thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Any other? No more questions. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being willing to serve.
Thank you.
Next up is Lyle Rosberg, Senator Bernstetter, Missouri Health Facilities Review Committee. Ooh.
I don't know either. It's shiny up there. But I can't say too much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, Mike Bernstetter again. I have the privilege of sponsoring Lyle Rosberg to the Missouri Health Facilities Review Committee. With a vast array of experience, he will be a great asset to this review committee, but actually I think he'd probably be an asset to any committee. He's a CPA and currently a CFO of Williams Keeper here for the last 10 years. Prior to this, he was a CFO at Jeff City Medical Group for 14 years, where he was instrumental in the growth of JCMG, going from 57 providers in 2002 to 100 providers in 2015, including regional growth from 7 locations to 12 in 2015. In addition, he was controller for the Missouri Development Finance Board. Lyle and his beautiful wife Lori live here in Jeff City, and he'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Senator Beck?
More really not questions. We've already served on the committee a couple of times and introduced ourselves. I appreciate you being on the committee and your insight and being a part of that. The one thing I say, I think that committee becomes more and more important as we go down the road. And Senator O'Loughlin mentioned earlier, like these Medicaid dollars and these dwindling amounts of money and all these other things going on. Is what do we do with that money and where do we go with it? So I appreciate you being on the committee. You've been well served in that aspect. There is one thing that, well, I won't get into it now, but we'll discuss this as committee members. So I do appreciate being on there with you. Thanks.
What do you think about the certificate of need?
Very broad question.
Well, it is.
Well, it was, I'm still relatively new, but, it was started, my understanding is the legislation started in the late 70s, and at least the amount, I believe, hasn't changed since the 80s. It was $1 million when you have to come to the certificate of need to the Health Facilities Review Committee. $1 million was a lot of money in the late 70s. It's not a lot of money today in healthcare. So it probably needs to be updated from that perspective to be reality what the last 50 years has been. So it's just something that needs to be reviewed, but that's not something that the committee would take care of, something you guys have to take care of.
I mean, I have people, talk to me about it on both sides of the topic, and I kind of see both sides of the topic, so it's kind of a hard thing.
I've been seeing it as well. I've only attended 2 meetings, but it was, I applied for the application when we were at JCMG for MRIs. So I've gone through the process on that side, and now I'm sitting and listening to the process that goes through. The staff does a tremendous amount of work to calculate beds and calculate need and things like that, and we get to enjoy reviewing that and looking at what people are applying for. But it's it probably needs some updating, and but I'm not sure, as being so new at it, I'm not sure if it's as effective as it could be.
Well, that would be a holy war here in this building, so.
That's something you get to deal with.
Yeah. Well, the next group can do that, so. Anyone else have any questions? Senator Moon.
Thank you. What do you think about hospital price transparency? And this goes back probably a decade or so when we'd hear, a box of tissue being charged $10 or an aspirin being charged $5 for one. I recently had a procedure where afterward, just in case, I filled the prescription, and surprisingly, it cost me $1.01 for a 30-day supply. I was astounded. Now I'm sure that was subsidized in some form or fashion, and not just because of my age, I don't think. It was just the institution I purchased it from. But what do you think can be and should be done with having hospitals list their costs for procedures so that you know what you're going to get going in? And I'll tell you one of the example. The hospital I worked for years ago, I took my son in for just an x-ray for the potential bone break. It was confirmed, and they told me they didn't know what the price was. And I found that a little bit hard to believe. And they gave me a range, though. It was from about $100 to $400. Had I paid the $400, I wouldn't have been able to recoup if it were less. So I decided not to pay. It was much less. So there is concern from the general public, from patients who want to know what the expectations are. So what can you provide for some sort of assurance that will be looked into, and maybe we'll come to some agreement that hospitals need to be compliant with it, because I don't remember the percentage, but it's significant. Missouri hospitals aren't compliant with price transparency.
Sure. I don't think it's anything that the Certificate of Need Board actually addresses, but if you wanted to talk about price transparency, the question is, what's the definition? Mm-hmm. And if it's just what the list price is, that's the same thing if you're buying a car and you look at the sticker on the side. Well, a lot of things have changed with that, with the internet and the ability to see what the price is now. So the question, and a lot of people say, well, it didn't cost me a thing to go to the doctor. My insurance took care of it. Well, yeah, it didn't cost you anything, but that's not what the hospital charged. So there's lots of numbers that go into that, and that's an accountant's nightmare to deal with, as I dealt with from a medical group standpoint. So first it has to be defined, and then if everybody's living by the same rule, then we can actually have some competition from hey, I want to go where it's a little bit cheaper. I would know immediately that there's lots of tools out there. Healthcare Blue Book, for example, is one that goes out and tells you what the costs are at St. Mary's Hospital versus Capital Region versus MU versus the Advanced Radiology, which is a privately owned group. The challenge is that you get, I can go to the cheaper place, but they have a 0.7 MRI, which is the strength or the quality of the magnet. If you particularly go to some of the better ones that are 1.5, you're going to get a much better image, and the doctor's going to be able to serve you much better. Well, I got a cheaper price, but they didn't get to see what they needed to see, and my healthcare is not near as good. There's a lot of decisions that go into that competitive, I can just get a cheaper price somewhere, because we can all buy a, no offense to Hyundai, you can buy a Hyundai and you can buy a Range Rover. There's a big span there, whether it's the cost, the quality, or the longevity.
And I guess in reference to that transparency, it would be the prices are listed, and it's the consumer then can make a decision where they want to go, and it might be something they get good service, and it might not be. But
the easiest way would be is if we didn't deal with the insurance through the doctor's perspective.
Yeah.
If the people just went in and said, I'm going to write a check for this, then I'm going to go to my insurance company and seek my reimbursement, you would understand immediately a lot more of what it takes the insurance company, what they're going to pay. You would shop for different insurance. You would also understand what the doctors would get out of it. What I didn't understand is why dentists wanted to take health insurance, because it's like it was a lot easier when you just wrote the check and paid the dentist and then you sought reimbursement. But for some reason, they thought that was a good idea.
Yeah, there is an additional cost there, too. Yeah. Thank you for...
All right, any other questions? It's so complicated.
It is. I agree.
Yeah, thank you for being here, and thank you for being willing to serve. Next up, Jeff Davis, Senator Bernsketter, for SEMO University Board of Governors.
Hi, Jeff.
No way. Nope.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, Mike Bernsketter. I had the privilege of sponsoring Jeffrey Davis, a member of the Southeast Missouri State University Board of Governors. He actually graduated from Southeast Missouri State with a political science degree. Later received his Juris Doctorate from the Washington University School of Law. He was a law clerk for the Honorable Paul J. Simon. He was the chief of staff and general counsel for this august body that we sit in today. He was chairman of the Missouri Public Service Commission and currently is executive director of public affairs of BNSF Railway in Kansas City. And Mr. Davis and his beautiful wife Tiffany and their 3 beautiful daughters all live in Wardsville, Missouri. And he'd be happy to answer some questions if the committee has any.
We all know Jeff. Yes. Do you have a question? Senator Berger.
Thank you for your willingness to serve. And I noticed the socks when you were sitting out there, so it must be SEMO Day, right?
It is.
It is, okay. Is this something you sought or was sought after?
No, this is something I sought. So 7 members of my family have attended Southeast Missouri State University. My wife and I met there. I was student body president, served on the president's council there. I actually testified for the university's budget in 1993. My first appearance here in the state capitol. I went on to be president of the Alumni Association. I was on the search committee that hired our new president, and this is something that it's a lifelong passion for me.
What are your thoughts about, do you have anything that you think direction we need to head as far as SEMO is concerned, or what your input's going to be?
Well, we're just starting a strategic planning process, and I think we need to listen to, what the market says and what our communities and our service areas say about the needs that we need to meet. And sort of my vision is that we need to provide an affordable, high-class education that meets the needs of our students and our communities, so that they're able to get good degrees that get them jobs that they can afford to provide for their families, as well as be productive members of their communities.
Thank you again.
All right. Any other questions? Senator Moon?
Never thought about Dr. Davis, but I guess that's right. When we met back in November, we had a good discussion about some of the questions I've asked others who are being appointed to boards similar. But I do want to talk trains sometime. And seriously, the discussion we had briefly on texting was on the 17th of December, I think, and I think the trains are still stopping. So if you can help me determine what I need to tell those guys back home, that'd be great. Thank you. So no need to reply today if you don't want to.
I will make a note and put that on my list and come see you, Senator.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Senator Beck?
Well, since Senator Moon opened the door for the trains, hopefully we're still working on the overpass area in my district.
Yes.
I'm teasing you, Jeff.
Well,
Senator Williams?
Thank you. Jeff, I just wanted to say thank you for your willingness to serve. I got the okay from Dr. Hobson that you'll be all right on the board, and I got a second confirmation from your family in the cafeteria, so you're all good with me. Congratulations, and thanks for stepping up to serve.
Anything else? Seeing none, thank you for your willingness to serve and being here today. Next up is Sarah Chapman, Senator Fitzwater, Southeast Missouri State University. Board.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Travis Fitzwater, 10th Senate District. Incredibly proud to bring Sarah Chapman before you to also serve on the Southeast Missouri State University Board. She's actually a student there, and you'll find she's very impressive. She's double majoring in English and music. She participates in the Jane Stevens Honors Program. She's a recent graduate of North Callaway High School, just so happens to be up the road from here in the Kingdom of Callaway, which we're all very proud of. She graduated summa cum laude from that high school. Sarah's currently working in the Office of Admissions where she assists with campus tours along with her other daily responsibilities. Sarah demonstrates her leadership and accountability through involvement in programs such as the Student Government Association, Missouri Governor Student Leadership Forum, which I've been involved in for the last 15 years and met her there, which is really a cool experience. The Music Student Advisory Council, the National Society of Leadership and Success, Marching Band, Sigma Sorority, and as a Missouri Girls State delegate. Excuse me. Sarah is an exemplary model of leadership, determination, and intelligence, and I'm incredibly proud to represent Sarah as a member of Callaway County and for this board position.
All right. Any questions? Senator Bratton?
I'm just disappointed that I don't see a saxophone in your hand. No, good luck to you on this, and I'm sure you'll do a great job.
Thank you. Senator Williams and then Senator Berger.
I had the pleasure of meeting this young lady about a month ago at a CMO meeting. I think she has a lot to offer. We spent some time in my office just about an hour ago and asked her several questions. I think she's on the right path, and wish you the best. And don't be afraid to speak up. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. One, thank you for your willingness to continue to serve. I'm just curious, as a student at Southeast Missouri State University, what are some things that you would say highlights your experience, and what are some things that you would say in this capacity that you would like to help change or enhance?
Definitely. Thank you, Senator, and thank you all for your time and your consideration today. I think being a music major definitely has helped a lot. I've had to learn a lot about discipline, for sure, as well as time management and a lot of teamwork. My entire major, everything is dictated for me, so everything from relations to ensembles, extracurriculars, but that's actually a strength, because since I've been forced into these, forced is a strong word, but it's helped a lot. Being able to be put in those situations where I have to make strong connections and I have to work with a team in order to reach a common goal, I think is very applicable in this position. I'm very excited to hopefully build and strengthen relations between administration and students. A lot of students are just intimidated by our administration, and our administration is fantastic, but I've met and talked with several students that are just kind of scared to advocate for themselves. They'll come to me with an issue, and I'll be able to, oh yeah, you can go to this person at this department, and then some people are like, wait, I had no idea that existed. And so just being able to have that immediate impact is huge. I think that can definitely benefit our students. And our campus has really broad outreach to programs as well, so just being able to use my network to properly represent those students, I think will go a long way as well.
Thanks for sharing that. And then as we conclude, what would you say is your favorite thing about campus?
I really like our culture. SEMO, one of the things that drew me to SEMO was that I never felt like a number. All of my faculty care for me. They know me by name. I remember when I was touring, they didn't just ask me, what do you want to do when you graduate? They asked me, if nothing held you back, what would you aspire to be? And that subtle difference really made a huge impact for me. So just the personalities of our faculty and the personability, how willing everybody is to use their own personal experience, not just to be, I've done all these things, look at what I've done, but look at what I've done and how can I help you, is huge, for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. And how many times a week do you take Cardiac Hill?
Depends on how many tours I give that week.
A lot. Thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Senator Moon?
I've had opportunity to ask several on the other side about what they thought about technology and AI now as it's coming about and its impact on education. So from your perspective, what do you believe the impact present and future will be with technology and AI in the education realm?
Thank you, Senator. That's a really great question. We are definitely seeing a lot of impacts already in our education. I've found a lot of students struggle with taking the easy route, and that's not what college is at its heart. It's supposed to teach you critical thinking. It's supposed to teach you advocacy. It's supposed to teach you all these life lessons that AI almost immediately just takes out of the picture. And so when you have students that are procrastinating not because they have so much on their plate, but because they're like, oh, I can just ChatGPT it later, that doesn't help anybody, and it's just annoying for our professors. It doesn't help the students, and it's just not a great policy. So to answer the question about your future, I can definitely see our university working towards creating some kind of standard to help mitigate those risks. It's just so difficult because all the programs, some are more subjective, some are more objective, so it's hard to set a standard. But I think if we could try to mitigate some of that, that would be best.
Anyone else? Seeing none, thank you for your willingness to serve. Thank you for being here today. James Bagley, Senator Black, Missouri Health Facilities Review Committee.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you for your time. I am pleased to present to you Mr. Jim Bagley, who has been appointed by Governor Kehoe to serve on the Missouri Health Facilities Review Committee. Mr. Bagley brings decades of leadership experience in managing complex organizations, overseeing large-scale infrastructure investments, and ensuring responsible stewardship of public-serving institutions. Mr. Bagley currently serves as Chief Executive Officer of United Electric Co-op and United Fiber, where he has led major broadband and utility expansion projects while managing substantial budgets and personnel. His background includes prior executive leadership roles in electric cooperatives, the U.S. Department of Energy, and service in the United States Navy. With his strong understanding of infrastructure planning, financial oversight, and community needs, I believe Mr. Bagley is well qualified to serve the state in this role and respectfully ask for your favorable consideration of his appointment. And I've called him Mr. Bagley. I can't believe it, Jim. That's all I've said. Here he is. Let him go at it.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Oh boy, you don't have any questions, and that's a good thing. So you're in. Thank you for being willing to serve. Next up, Jason Pound, Senator Hudson, Holocaust Education and Awareness Commission.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Senator Brad Hudson, representing Missouri's 33rd Senatorial District, Stone, Taney, Douglas, Ozark, Texas, Howell, and Shannon counties, otherwise known as God's country. I am here today carrying the nomination of Jason Pounds for the Holocaust Education and Awareness Commission. Jason was born and raised in Houston, Missouri, graduated from Houston High School in 1992. He has taught history and English at Houston High School for the last 13 years. He received his bachelor's in history from Columbia College in 2010 and his master's in history from the University of Nebraska, Kearney in 2013. He also completed his master's in Holocaust and Genocide Studies from Gratz College in 2020. He is dedicated to teaching about the Holocaust and other genocides to make students aware of the awful power of hate. I will now turn it over to Mr. Pounds to answer any questions the committee may have.
All right, thank you. Senator Moon?
Hi, Mr. Pound. Thank you.
Hello.
I noticed that there is a mission statement on this one, but no function. So what is the function of the commission?
Well, haven't really been on it that long. I have been to 2 meetings, but I think the function really is exactly the title of the committee. It's to bring awareness and education on the Holocaust and other genocides to not only the students but also the teachers of the state of Missouri. I've been to all 3. We offer 3 levels of professional development for teachers. I've been to all 3. They're very high quality, and I feel like all teachers gain something they can take back to the classroom and help with education and awareness.
So do you have most of your contact with teachers and administrators, or will it be direct contact with students? How does that all work?
It'll be both, because I'm planning on, actually there's one coming up next week. There's one of professional development. It's a 2.5 day roughly kind of a seminar that I'm going to help with. I currently teach, so I will have a lot of contact with students, but as far as the commission, from what I've seen so far, a lot of it is public and teachers, not necessarily just students. But I think our goal is to reach everybody.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, I think it's really critical to have this a robust teaching, I guess, apparatus that hopefully this is able to make sure is occurring, because I think we've seen a resurgence of denial here just in the past couple of years for some reason. I mean, yesterday was Holocaust Remembrance Day, but I mean, it's really rampant on social media and the way algorithms and everything, this denial of the Holocaust, and it's really spreading, and it's really concerning, especially when you get into higher levels of academia of outright denial. And I mean, I think that President Eisenhower was really prophetic when he was General Eisenhower of when they were uncovering all these camps, was like document and film absolutely everything of this event, so that in the future you will never be able to deny that this. But even with all this information, all these museums and all this in your face of the grotesque and just how rampant this was, there's still those people. I mean, how do you combat that, especially with the again algorithm and all of what, I guess, I know this is a loaded question and a big one, but I guess how do you combat that? What's your...
Well, I think in terms of Holocaust denial, the easiest way to combat it is simply with the truth. As you said, there's so much documentation, whether it's footage of camps being liberated, photos, testimonies, survivors.
Yeah.
I think one of the most effective ways is to hear a survivor's testimony. And in my personal experience, I was at the Arthur and Rochelle Belfer Conference for Educators at the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum in D.C., and I heard a gentleman named Henry Greenbaum who spoke about, this was back in 2015, so 10 years or 11 years ago, and he talked about surviving 3 different camps. And at the time, I was mad because my hotel out there hadn't given me towels that morning. I'm like, oh. And then he talked about not having soap for 2 years. But then he said, I worry because so many of our survivors are leaving us, but then I look at the audience, because there was maybe 200 educators, and he said, but I don't worry as much when I see your faces. And from that moment, I took that on as that was my challenge, that was my mission, was to be that resource to fight that wave of denial or anti-Semitism. And in a rural area, I mean, it's different, but it's there. I agree with you. There's a rise in both anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial, and it is alarming.
Do you think that has anything to do with, I mean, at least when I was in school, I mean, it was, not that it's not required, but history was a core of education. Now it's really, it's math and reading are the core. Do you think we need to expand that into requiring history to be like a 3-legged stool of that? I know, Thomas Jefferson was, the whole purpose of education was to ensure people remembered the history of this nation, to protect the republic, but I feel that we're drifting from the real true necessity, because I don't know. That's what I'm just trying to think out loud and kind of get your idea on that.
I would agree that there's been a heavy focus on both, and I would say math, reading, as well as science. And when I was in the social studies department for about 9 years, I would see that. But at the same time, in our school, you have to have there are three requirements.
Yep.
And so you had to have American history, American government, and one other social studies elective. I've been able to offer a Holocaust elective either in the history department or the English department for the last, I think, 8 years. So I think that's part of it. I don't know if that's a lot of it, but I would also say if we looked at our MLS standards, that's why I was thankful for the mandate that came out that said we're going to take a week, second week of April, and that's going to be Holocaust Education Week. Because when you look at the MLS standards, and it's been a while, I've been in English for 4 years, but content-wise, even in world history, I think Holocaust or genocide is mentioned once in 90 to 100 standards, and I don't think it's mentioned in American history at all. So I think I would agree with you to a certain extent, but I understand why they focus on the others. And as what I've found from English is I can use Holocaust informational as well as literature to reach my skills for those students. So I've tried to incorporate that as well into English.
Yeah, I mean, I see today a lot of rhetoric, the terminology of Nazi, fascists, and all that is like, it's thrown out everywhere. And as somebody, I was a sponge, especially for World War II. It just like, I could never get enough as a kid growing up just of anything World War II, just because it was such a profound point in history. But just being a student of history and really learning about the depravity of the Nazi Party and all these things, it is terrible verbiage to refer to people, especially learning just how evil and sinister and organized that they were to refer to someone as such. Would you agree?
What I don't like is I think when that's the verbiage that is, I can't remember the name of the law now. There's like a law on the internet that the longer a conversation goes on, the more likely Hitler or the Nazis is going to be mentioned.
Yeah.
I think every time there's that comparison, I think it kind of waters down what the truth really was. I think
agree.
To compare everything does a disservice to the victims and the survivors.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Mosley?
How you doing?
Good.
I'm glad that I'm in this committee hearing what my colleagues have to say about this because it's kind of strange that we aren't as enthusiastic to learn the Black history and how they've gone through genocide as well. So I'm glad to hear that they're so excited to hear about people being genocide, and hopefully they'll go bring one of my bills that's actually is to bring awareness of Black history, bring it into committee, and also pass it along since they're so interested in genocide. So some of my questions are, so I guess with you being on this committee or commission, you do understand that it is very important to learn history of the Holocaust.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what do you think about the importance of learning the history of Black history as well, because they went through Holocaust basically as well?
Absolutely, and I think not even just for Black Americans, but I think you could look at the Rwandan genocide. When you look at other genocides around the world, I think it's important to understand that culturally. Primo Levi was a survivor of the Holocaust that said the Holocaust happened, and I'm paraphrasing, so if it happened here, it can happen anywhere to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at our mission statement, it also, I don't have it memorized verbatim, but it does say that this is also to fight against bigotry in all its forms. And so absolutely.
Right. I know one of the things that people say, some of my colleagues say, is that they don't want to learn about Black history because they don't want their daughters or kids to feel like they're responsible for something that happened back in the past. Do you think that is a logical way of thinking, since, learning about Holocaust, I'm sure that it can be said the same ways. People say the same thing.
I think studying the past, I think we have to be responsible for what. There's kind of a middle ground there, I guess, for me, to where I think you have to learn it and you have to try to hold the present accountable for the sins of the past, if that makes sense. That's kind of where I see it. We're learning that to prevent those things from happening again, or to try to somehow right a wrong that has been done.
Right. Okay. So I guess you would agree that having Black history education in schools would be just as important as having Holocaust awareness as well.
I think if you're teaching American history, you have to teach it all. I agree. Thank you, Senator.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, thank you for being here today, and thank you for being willing to serve.
Thank you, Senator.
Next up is Miranda Reed, Senator Hudson, Child Abuse and Neglect Review Board, A.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, once again, for the record, Senator Brad Hudson, District 33, Stone, Taney, Douglas, Ozark, Texas, Howell, and Shannon County, still God's country. I am here today carrying the nomination of Miranda Reed for the Missouri Child Abuse and Neglect Review Board. Miranda has spent the last 8 years serving as a foster parent in Missouri and is an adoptive mom of 6 children. She has been running a nonprofit she founded for the last 2 years, whose mission is anchored in advocating for biological, foster, and adoptive families through the foster care process, with the intent of getting kids to permanency as quickly, responsibly, and safely as possible. Missouri foster care is deeply personal to her, and she is passionate about ensuring both child safety and family accountability. Miranda Reed brings hands-on experience and a commitment to protecting children, and I respectfully ask for your support of her appointment to the Child Abuse and Neglect Review Board, and I will now turn it over to Miranda to answer any of the committee's questions.
You've adopted 6 children.
Yeah, 3 of them are back there.
I was a foster mom of just 1. I'm thinking, whoa, that's a lot. And God bless you for doing it. One question that I would have for you, it is relevant, but it seems like to become a foster parent now is so complicated that I think it drives people away from being foster parents. Do you agree with that, or?
Yeah, I also serve on the Missouri Adoptive and Foster Board, and one of the things that we're focused on is to make that simpler and give them an advocate when they want to become a foster parent, to help them walk through those hurdles. It doesn't make the process any easier, but it does help them navigate all the steps that they have to take to become a foster parent.
Okay. I mean, I know it was a long time ago when I was a foster parent. I mean, when she was young, but it just seems like there's a lot of things added in that I think could be taken out.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you. Senator Moon.
Thank you for being here today. I commend you for adopting the children. That's admirable. And I know it's a lot of work. I'm sure they're appreciative. I see lots of smiles back there, too. One of the questions that I've asked others who are being appointed to the same board as you is something that I don't know how it can be corroborated, but you hear reports such as there are people in elected positions and others of authority who are complicit in abuse. And I'm not asking you what you might do about it if you knew it was going on, but I just would just encourage you to keep that in the back of your mind and look at all possibilities. And I would imagine that you have a pretty strong will with taking on a handful of kids like you have, And so hopefully that would translate into, if it's necessary, to use that strong will to take the proper action. And so I just hope you will, and I can see the glint in your eye that I'm sure that will happen.
Yes, and as a foster parent, you're a mandated reporter, so that helps as well. But yes, there is some complacency, and I think that this board helps whenever we get further in the process for alleged perpetrators that disagree with the decision made by Children's Division, that we get a second look at it and get to review that again so that we can protect victims and we can keep perpetrators away from children.
Good. Thank you.
Another concern that I have is kids age out when they're 18 and they're not ready to take off and take in the world, and I think then that just sets the whole process back. I don't know what the answer to that is, but they're not ready for that.
Yeah, especially in rural communities. I think there's more support in urban communities. In Taney County, just started the CASA program, the child advocates, and so court-appointed child advocates. So they have a resource while they're in the foster care system that can help connect them to resources as they age out as well.
All right, anyone else have any questions? I want to say the kids are being good, so.
They're pretty well behaved.
I see you've got the formula. Well, thank you for what you do, and thank you for being here today and being willing to serve.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Jamie Redding, Senator Williams, Child Abuse and Neglect Review Board E.
Members of the committee, Madam Chair, for the record, Brian Williams, 14th Senatorial District. Today is my distinct honor and privilege to present to you Ms. Jamie Redding for your consideration. Ms. Redding has been appointed to serve on the Child Abuse and Neglect Review Board. Jamie is a social worker, and she is experienced in behavioral health and has a background in clinical settings as well as the public school system. She is uniquely qualified to address the challenges facing young victims of abuse and neglect, and will bring empathy, care, and support to this position. She received her Bachelor's of Social Work at Georgia State University, and she received a Master's of Social Work from the Brown School in Washington University, based in St. Louis. She is a licensed clinical social worker here in the state of Missouri, and she has experience in school social work, serving the special school district of St. Louis. She would also use this background to apply her knowledge of child development and program implementation, the Child Abuse and Neglect Review Board. In addition to this, Ms. Redding has a background in mental health and direct practice experience. Most recently, she served as a triage clinician, lead at Compass Youth Behavioral Health Urgent Care, and a pediatric social worker at St. Louis Children's Hospital. Jamie has served on the ground helping vulnerable youth experiencing mental health crisis, trauma, and neglect. Her experience in crisis intervention, case management, and psychiatric assessment makes her a qualified caring candidate for this role. At a time when we know many young Missourians are experiencing mental illness, trauma, and neglect, Jamie is exactly the type of person we need on this particular board. With that, I asked that the committee feel free to ask any questions. I've had an opportunity to talk with Ms. Redding, and I've been just extremely impressed with not only her willingness to serve, but the contribution she's made to the state and her community. So with that, we're free to accept any questions.
So it's my belief that we need to stabilize families as the foundation for everything else that happens. And I know that there are people who think, well, that's the family's part, and if they can't, that's their issue. And then there are people who think, well, we should provide supports. I personally feel that regardless of how a family became totally dysfunctional, the children, are the recipients of everything. And if you can get that stabilized, it's just like the foundation of a house. If it's stable, then you can build on that. But if it is not, then everything else just balloons in terms of government intervention and that kind of thing. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that. And I also believe that even in some stable families, things happen.
They do.
And so I do think the access to address any concern and the availability of the concerns will be able to be addressed in stable or unstable families. So yes, I agree.
So I personally have connections with a couple of people. One was a mother who had 4 children. The children were removed from the home basically because the home was just a wreck. But she was a good mom, and the kids were good kids. And so I and some of the other people from the community helped get that kind of straightened up and straightened out. But we had a heck of a fight to get the kids back home.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a problem that we have. And then I just talked to another friend who's also a foster parent, and kind of the same situation, a family with 8 children, pets, and I'm a big pet person, but, just a mess in the house. And so the kids are now all in foster homes. So in your role, do you talk about training people? And I know this would be hard, but what actually is abuse and what actually is just neglect, that we could go in and support the family and kind of get it going on the right way? Because the best thing would be if they could stay with their family, if that can get worked out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've only attended one meeting thus far, and so reunification is always a goal. Obviously, with safety and being able to have the resources to sustain that safety and stabilization, I think that the state is making lots of efforts to be able to provide resources for families who deal with all types of issues, whether that is lack of resources, employment, financial stress. And so as a board, though, we try to obviously utilize our expertise in whether we are upholding the state's decision to substantiate a case. And so with the background and knowledge and training that we have, we absolutely know the differences of the types of abuse and neglect and whether or not it was done. And so I agree with you that there is definitely some rooms for improvement in the system, absolutely, but it's definitely not an overnight process.
So my last thing is reunification.
Mm-hmm.
In the situation where you just have a family that needed some supports and you can kind of get them going in the right direction, and we can kind of go along with support.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also know of foster children who, maybe have been in a foster home for a year or 2, and the Children's Division keeps trying to put the children back in the home, but the parents really haven't done a whole lot to change the problem, the problem they had in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is a question or a statement, but I just feel like, if you're cooking meth in your living room and your children get taken away, that should be or whatever you're doing, that should be a big wake-up moment for you. And I would think that people, if it's enough of a wake-up, they will strive to change. What are your thoughts on reunification? I think that we do, and this will sound bad to some people, but some parents, biological parents, are never going to be responsible parents. And so where do we draw that line? It seems like we don't draw it soon enough in some cases.
Yeah, I think all cases vary, and I think that considering the ability to sustain a family varies from person to person and family to family. And so it depends on how and when the child was removed from the home, obviously, personally, of what I would believe a reunification should and when happen. And so I'm not going to say that every child that's taken from their home should be reunified with their birth parents, because we do know that people go through things, regardless if it's substance use, if it's physical abuse, despite their lived experiences. I think that should be taken into account when considering reunification.
And it should be easier to adopt.
I do agree with that. I do.
All right, I'm going to let it go from there. Anybody else have any questions? Or I'm totally with you. Thank you for being willing to do what you do, and we need to stabilize the world for the children, really.
Absolutely.
Whatever we have to do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, thank you, committee. I told you she was great, and I'm glad you all agree.
Next up is Shannon Covington, Senator Schroer, Missouri Dental Board.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, State Senator Nick Schroer, St. Charles County, Senate District 2. Shannon Covington is a registered dental hygienist with more than 15 years of experience in dentistry, including clinical practice, workforce training, and public health. She serves as the Director of Dental Training and Development at Compass Health Network, where she oversees a lot of stuff, including dental training, infection control, sterilization practices, OSHA compliance, exposure prevention, and risk management across multiple dental clinics. It's a lot of liability she's got to worry about. With the experience as both a dental assistant and dental hygienist, she brings a practical clinical perspective to workforce and regulatory issues in dentistry, and I'm very excited to sponsor her here before you today.
All right, thank you. Do I have any questions? You, Senator Moon.
Good afternoon. In your experience, and what little knowledge I have, just the information I'm getting from different sources about amalgam fillings, especially when they contain mercury, is there justification to do away with those altogether? And I've seen a number of dentists who just don't use those anymore anyway. But what is your opinion on the mercury contained, and also what the future might hold as far as going to other fillings and things of that sort?
Sure. Well, this is my personal opinion, obviously, but I think there is a avenue and a place for amalgam fillings. I think we have more options when it comes to treatment and different alternative materials that are more widespread use. However, I do see amalgam, and it has, evidence behind it that proves, the effectiveness and the safety of it compared to the FDA regulations. I think there's, certain avenues such as our really young population that can't tolerate some of our composite materials. When we're talking about the clinical aspect, some of our more modern materials work really, really wonderful. But for example, they require really strict moisture control for them to actually adhere to teeth. When we're talking about really small children or even our special needs community that can't tolerate that traditional treatment, amalgam is a hydrophilic material, meaning it can actually work really well in these moist environments. So the alternative to those patients would be having to not seek treatment, have those carious lesions get worse, or potentially looking at sedation services, which obviously carries a higher risk for their overall health judgment in those areas. So I think there are a lot of more modern materials that have more widespread use, certainly, but I do think amalgam certainly has its place in those more vulnerable populations that can't tolerate traditional treatment.
And since the main concern, it appears, is the mercury, is that primarily a hardening agent that helps with that, or is there something, there other purpose of that being included in the mix?
Sure. So when we're talking about amalgam materials, it's actually an amalgamation, hence the word, of different metals, and that alloy of that mercury actually adds as a compound to adhere those together. So when that mercury is contained with that amalgamation of those various other metals, this is where it's more safe because it's not in its pure form of that mercury compound. So by triturating that and amalgamating those together, it creates that retention of this material, and this is where we're seeing any risk be reduced in that area.
So trying to remember when they used to make thermometers with mercury, they would break when we were in school, and we'd pick them up and, make them ball around in our hands. Not the same material. I mean, it's still mercury, but not as hazardous.
Yes, it is much less hazardous, especially when it's introduced to these other metals and it adheres in that solid state. In the liquid state, it has more potential harm, but it's actually more harmful in that pure solid state. And once we've triturated and we've actually condensed those materials together, it doesn't house those same hazardous properties.
Okay. And then just one last question here. When we as consumers and looking for the best options, where is the absolute best place to look for what is the truth? Because now we have, AI, and you have to look at that with some type of speculation to see if it's really true. Is there a place, is there a dental website that everything goes to, and we can look at that to see what everybody thinks?
Sure. I would recommend going to the ADA, the American Dental Association. They provide evidence-backed research, so everything they're putting out has been studied to the highest degree, and it gives you the benefits and the pluses of that, but it also looks at the negative effects or the possible contraindications. So they're the most reputable resource for that.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm guessing you're not scared to go to the dentist.
Always one of those weird,
That's the
odd
most
ones
dreaded
that
day
didn't-
in our life. Does anybody else have any? Well, we're the only ones here, so thank you for being willing to serve, and thank you for being here today. Next up, we'll do Mark Sutherland, Senator Schroer, Tourism Commission.
I thought you were coming close. You're going to get a close-up. Tony, I like the casual look. All right, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, everybody, Senators. Again, for the record, State Senator Nick Schroer, 2nd District, St. Charles County, presenting my good friend Mark Sutherland today. Mark Sutherland immigrated to Missouri in 1989 and has been passionately proud of the state ever since. Born in Scotland and raised in England, he's now a fiercely loyal adopted Missourian who never misses a chance to brag about his home. Mark is the founder of Stone Ledge Distillery, which is awesome. It's right in Defiance, Missouri, producing Stolac whiskey and virgin vodka, all Ozark Highlands certified Missouri spirits. Prior to distilling, he led the marketing team at Missouri Partnership, helping attract investment to the state around the world. He also founded the Ozark Highlands Distillers Guild, advancing Missouri spirits industry and regional identity. Since 2012, Mark has volunteered on the executive committee of the Spirit of St. Louis Air Show and STEM Expo, supporting one of the region's most impactful aviation and education events. Beyond business, he volunteers extensively in support of British government's relationship with Missouri across diplomatic, cultural, academic, and economic efforts. He lives in Defiance, it's a good place to live, with his family and considers it the best place on earth. I do. And I'm proud to turn this over to Mark. If anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions for the nominee? Seeing none, I just wanted to ask you, because everybody needs to hear your wonderful accent if you haven't heard it yet. So just please explain to the committee your interest in this particular
So Missouri has an incredible history of doing great things, having amazing cultural offerings, just does phenomenal stuff, and then forgets to tell the world about it. And Missouri Tourism does a very good job in promoting it. I think they can do more. And I think they need support, they need accountability, they need people asking the right questions about the audience they're reaching and how they're reaching them. Throughout that career, I've been in marketing, 30 plus years of marketing. And I think my perspective and the questions I can ask and the oversight I can provide can be an asset to Missouri tourism and as a result to the entire state as we try and attract the world to come here, spend time, spend money, and help our economy grow.
Awesome, thank you for that. Any further questions for the nominee? Seeing none, thank you for your willingness to serve.
Thank you.
Next up is Lisha Berry for the Northwest Missouri State University Board of Regents. Senator Gregory is very excited whenever he is ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Curtis Gregory, Senate District 21, which stretches all the way up into Clay County, and that's where Mrs. Berry is from. Come to find out in talking with her yesterday as we all go out knocking doors during elections, I actually knocked on their door on some random hot day in the summer of 2024 when running for the primary for the position I'm currently in. When it comes to qualifications for who should serve on a board of regents for a university, I probably couldn't tell you because I've never been on there, but then I read the some of the stuff in the resume for Mrs. Berry, and I'm going to recite this paragraph for you. Possesses process-focused with strong skills in organizing, planning, and implementing initiatives, measurement tools, and programs that enhance productivity, quality, and customer service levels. Ability to see the big picture while managing short and long-term objectives. Sounds like somebody that's going to do a pretty good job on the Board of Regents, and I'll also mention she is also an alumni of Northwest Missouri State University, of which also my niece graduated there in May. So happy to present her to the committee.
Got a pretty good football team, you usually historically also.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah. Any questions for the nominee? Senator Moon.
Good afternoon.
Hello again.
We were able to speak briefly the other day, but I'd like for the committee to hear perhaps in relation to the question that I asked others going on the Board of Regents or curators. With all the changes that we're having today, the technology that's involved in education and the potential that AI is already having, in higher education especially, and is having an impact in K through 12 as well. What should we be looking at in the future, even the immediate, present and the future, to not really curtail, but to be able to keep it within its bounds so that students are really learning and not just taking the convenience of an app to provide something that the professors want, and how that might affect kids coming up to the colleges and universities where they're not really learning like they should, so we'll have to even supply more remediation so that they can get up to speed to be able to advance in the courses that are offered.
Thank you for the question. I've had the pleasure of sitting through a lot of the conversation this afternoon, so a little bit of time to think about this even deeper than what we spoke about yesterday. But a couple of things. I think we did see, through this past year, a little bit of a tip with the cell phones not being used in secondary education. So you're starting to see that. It was, much talked about, but actually I haven't heard a lot about it since school started. So there's that. In reference to Northwest Missouri State, a couple of our key programs there include agriculture and education. When you come to the campus at Northwest, two things you would see there and hear about is that freshman students in both of those programs are either at the farm or they are perhaps in the Horace Mann Laboratory School immediately, even as their freshman year progresses. So the concept of hands-on learning is embedded there pretty intently. I had the pleasure of hiring numerous Northwest Missouri State grads throughout my 30-year career in IT in Kansas City. They always came prepared for problem solving, for teamwork, for some of those, quote-unquote soft skills that I think are highly, highly important in a successful graduate. So, but if I go back to the ag situation, I think about the students there are learning tremendous amounts about how to use all this technology that's coming into agriculture But in its simplest form, if the corn is yellow and ChatGPT gives you a long list of why the corn could be yellow, but you don't really realize that it rained, 10 inches yesterday. ChatGPT probably knows that already, but to have critical thinking skills to be able to maneuver that is still highly valued. I think that higher ed is under a significant amount of pressure to produce a value to cost. And I think that Northwest is still working very, very hard to do that today.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
I went to school there, way back.
All right.
I mean, way, way back, for 2 years. So I thought it was a good school then. I think it's a good school now. Anybody else? Nope,
I would just add that I did put on some black and gold for Curtis's
for
sake
Curtis,
today, but you will see the green too.
All right, we appreciate your being here and being here like all afternoon, and thank you for being willing to serve.
Thank you. You too.
Robert Alpers, Clean Water Commission. Senator Gregory.
All right, again, Curtis Gregory, 21st Senatorial District. Unlike Mrs. Berry, who I just met like a summer and a half ago when I was knocking on her door, I've known Robert now since I think it was 2011 when I was basically fresh out of college / an illustrious professional football career selling seed at Mid-State Seed in Marshall, Missouri. He was actually a soybean seed grower for us. And it was during those times and conversations where you start learning about different practices in the ag world. And he was one that was a full-on believer at that point in time in not only no-till, but also the art of cover crops. And why do I mention cover crops? Because that is a farm method that is used in places where you might have something called erosion, which is where soil is going to run off and get into our water. So he understands the importance of keeping clean waterways. About his background, I'm sure you all have seen it, but served on many various boards and commissions. I'm currently on the United States Soybean Board, has been on the Missouri State Soybean Merchandising Council, that's a mouthful from time to time, Farm Bureau, School Board, you name it. He's been very involved in the community. So Robert Alpers is here before you today to hopefully serve on the Clean Water Commission.
Thank you. Any questions? Senator Bean?
Mr. Alpers, I appreciate your willingness to serve and, appreciate all your work that you've done for the soybean industry as a former MSMC board member. That's how you say it there, Senator, MSMC, and former USB director. I understand the commitment that it takes and the time that it takes. So once again, thank you for your willingness to serve and thank you for standing up for, agriculture, and we need it more than ever. So thank you.
Does the Clean Water Commission get in the middle of the data center issues on water?
That's going to be a learning experience for me. I don't know because I just did get appointed, and I would say yes, just because of the amount of water. Just a little bit I know about it. There's some issues with some heavy metals after it goes through the data centers and stuff, and how that they can, supposedly, from what I understand, they're going to try to reuse that water, but at some point, there's probably going to be some.
Okay, good luck to you for that.
Some issues that's going to have to be looked at.
I was just curious about that. Any other questions?
Yeah, that actually kind of ties into my question. We spoke very briefly yesterday. I'm carrying Senate Bill 960, which potentially changes the makeup of the Clean Water Commission. With your appointment, the agricultural industry would represent 6 out of the 7 positions on the Clean Water Commission. So how can you ensure that there's representation for all of the state and not just the agricultural industry?
I guess I'll go back to a few of the comments that Senator Gregory made. I've served in my community, my church, Lions Club. I'm chairman of the county ambulance committee, and then I've also served farmers, the ag industry, and now I get the opportunity to serve every citizen in Missouri. And I am not a rubber stamp. My first hat, because our family farm has been around for about 75 years, is that I'm an environmentalist first. I'm a business person second, because I want the legacy of my farm to be passed down to my other family members, my nieces and nephews. So I don't have an issue at all. Water and soil is our two most precious resources that we have in the state of Missouri. And I want to protect them for everybody, because I have to drink. I've got family members that live in cities and towns. Their water needs to be clean too. And so you don't have to worry. I will. Whenever I was asked by the governor's office to do this, I knew what a couple of your all's, Democrats or Republicans or whatever, I don't really like. Don't take any offense to this. You all are very blessed to do it with the job you're doing. I wouldn't do it for nothing. I consider this a job. It's not political at all to me. So I want to do a good job for the state of Missouri, and that's where I'm at.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, you're in.
Thank you.
Thank you for being willing
Appreciate
to serve.
your time.
Thank you for being here today. James Morris, Senator Carter, Jasper County Eastern District Commissioner. Spit that out.
We're going to get everybody in here. Awesome. Committee members, it's my privilege to present to you Jimmy Morris. And if you haven't noticed, the rest of the people behind us is part of his family. And so if I could just, for a second, Jimmy, introduce your family and have them stand up for the committee members, if you would.
If you want to go ahead and stand up, my wife Megan and our kids Krista, James, Joel, Drew, Lucas, Kaylin, Grant, and Kinsley.
So he's well loved. He's half of the county. And it's my pleasure to be here to sponsor Jimmy Morris, a dedicated small business owner and longtime community leader for this appointment to the new Eastern District Commissioner for Jasper County. He has a strong background in local politics, having served as Executive Director and Parliamentarian of the Jasper County Republican Central Committee, where he helped drive its growth and expansion. In 2018, he earned an impressive 49.9% of the vote in a competitive race for the county position he's now being appointed to. A committed family man, and faith leader, Jimmy actively leads the youth group at Prairie Flower Bible Church and volunteers in youth athletics. With his proven track record of service, business experience, and deep roots in Jasper County, Jimmy is ready to represent the Eastern District and work for our community's future, and I have no doubt that he will do that. Thank you, Jimmy, for being willing to serve.
All right. We're still thinking about that great big family. Does anyone have any questions? Senator Moon?
I got this list of appointees. It's been a couple hours now, I guess, but I didn't see your name on it. And when I saw James Morris afterward, I thought, who was that? And I saw you out in the hallway when I took a step out. But I appreciate you being willing to take this on. You've been involved in a lot of different things. The only thing I have question about is some of your references are suspect.
I would agree about that.
And for those in the listening audience, he's shaking his head yes. I'm kidding, of course. But what do you, Jimmy, what do you see as the biggest thing that you have to tackle as a commissioner?
I think the budget is probably the biggest thing. We're in great shape financially in Jasper County, and so setting us up. There's a lot of things that have, I would liken it to when you go to move after you've lived in a house for 20 or 30 or 40 years, cleaning out the basement or the garage. there's a bit of that is kind of piled up around the county, and so I'm excited about we're making some progress on addressing some policies and procedures, processes, digging into budget options for saving money in the future and setting the county up for success long term. And so I think we're at a real pivotal point in Jasper County to make some decisions that may not be headline making, but set the county up for success in the next decade to 50 years.
I imagine Jasper County is probably different than some others. The county commission meetings that I've attended typically are attended by the county commissioners. And maybe if there's a resident who has a concern, they'll be there. That may be by design, I don't know, but it seems like the more input you have, the better off you'd be, because you get a lot more information that you can use. What, if you can think of anything, could be done to encourage more engagement by the community?
We've actually been having conversations relating to that over the past few weeks. We're looking at some social media options, noticing meetings a little differently. A lot of the statutory requirements are in area newspapers. Many of those don't have the readership they used to, and so we're thinking outside the box. How do we involve the community, inform the community? We put money in the budget for this year for a transparency portal online to serve the not only the sunshine request, but also just curiosity. So we're looking at a website revamp, social media, as well as just being out in the community. I was at the Carthage City Council meeting last night, and the comment was made by one of the council members that was the first time they remember a commissioner attending a city council meeting. And so just efforts like that to be connected in the community, I'm excited about the potential in the future.
That's great. I wish you well.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing no other questions or comments, thank you for being here and being our very last guy and sitting here all afternoon. We appreciate you being willing to serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the hearing. I make a motion for us to enter executive session. Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? We're now in executive session. I now move that we roll all 25 nominees and 3 reappointments into one slate. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We now have the slate before us. I move that we do pass the slate out of committee. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, call the roll.
Senators O'Laughlin.
Aye.
Lukemeyer. Bean. Aye. Beck. Bratton. Brown. Berger. Moon. Aye. Mosley. Roberts. Aye. Williams.
11. By a vote of 11 to 0, we pass the slate. I move that we adjourn. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you. Here for a month.